Welcome, everybody. This is Sheldon Reich. I'm joined by Mike Chabet, VP Sales and Marketing at Cybra, and Phil Andrianos, our Digital Marketing Specialist. And we welcome you to today's webinar. We've got a minute or two before we'll start. Let the rest of the folks kind of come on in. Just want to go over the ground rules of today's presentation. Your audio is muted, but that doesn't mean you can't participate. We look forward to hearing questions from you, any comments. So you'll see on the GoToWebinar toolbar, there's on the right side of your screen, there's questions, and you can click in a question. In addition, if you're having troubles, technical troubles of being able to hear anybody or something, you can use the chat function to chat with the organizers or the presenter and kind of break in. But we use the question format to allow us to review the questions that are coming out. So we'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Phil, I'll let you be the timer. If we're good to go.
Very good. It's 1:59. Let's give some stragglers a few minutes.
So stragglers, yeah. Actually, the attendees are beginning to come on in and coming online.
Yep.
I want to really thank everybody for a tremendous turnout. And I think that's a good sign. It talks about how electronic product code is being embraced, obviously by your retail partners. As you can see from the title of the webinar, this is for the brand owners. And the obviously they're rolling out further mandates and further categories. And it's actually, we see it by the number of people who have registered for today's event. And like I said, we welcome you, really thank you so much for taking a little bit of your time. The presentation should take approximately 40 to 45 minutes, and then we'll have 20 to 15 minutes for questions and answers at the end of the presentation. But please, you come across with a question, please pass it through, but we'll be watching the toolbar. And Phil, are we ready to go?
It's after 2. Yeah, let's get going, Sheldon.
Let's get going. Okay. So, Cybra has been around, since the late '80s, and we really, helped the beginning of the barcode compliance. It was called the UCC compliance requirements. We helped a lot of customers, thousands really, of them get into this. So we really, as soon as the RFID technology was introduced for the retail supply chain, we got on board quite early, and it's been a little slow slog, as those of you who know have been watching the industry. But all of a sudden, we really feel like we're at the bottom of what's known as a hockey stick, where all of a sudden everybody needs to implement and put this technology in place. Now, the flip side is that when your retailer says to you that you've got to tag as goods, in the past, what have you done? It's what's known as slap and ship. Just put tag the garment, and that's it, and it's just cost. There's no benefit to you. Well, we've done a number of implementations where, in fact, our customers are getting benefits for the tags that they have to put on for their retailer customers. So we want to show you how you can use the cost that you're already laying out for your EPC compliance mandate and really get some nice ROI and benefit internally inside your four walls. Quick review of the agenda. We'll do a super fast benefits of RFID. Obviously, you must know them, but we have a nice, cute visual way to show it. And then we'll get into where the ROI begins. And the primary thing, which we'll go over a bunch of them, is the reduction of the chargebacks, which typically can help you pay for the system in an amazingly fast time. We'll get into more detail, obviously, when we talk about it. And then we'll go over how we help customers in this space comply with a mandate, as well as get some great benefits internally using our EdgeMagic solutions for RFID. So my tennis partner, Mr. Mike Chabet, will join me as we go through each of these steps. So, Mike, please take over. Woo.
All right, Sheldon, thank you. Yeah, I'm looking at the attendees today. We have a lot of new folks that have joined us. I thank them for joining. And as we're moving into the spring season and getting back into fishing season, I like to use this analogy, just trying to set the groundwork, if you will, for visualizing the benefits of using RFID. You know, typically with barcode scanning, and this is typical in a pick-pack operation, whether you're working with GOH or bagged goods, you know, the folks either in cycle counting or in pick-pack need to first find the barcode and then literally pin the red light on the bars. So basically, we're scanning one item at a time. Whereby, next slide, with RFID, at using the same effort and the same energy, we can see that we're collecting a lot more information. We're catching much more fish at our pack operation. We can literally speed up that operation. In some cases, 30% more productivity coming out of a pick, pack, or a cycle count operation using the RFID component versus the barcode component.
And that's the lesson on the benefits of RFID. So some of the, you know, there are benefits that accrue to the retailer, which have been documented, and there are benefits that accrue to the brand owner, which have been documented. So here we'll point them out to you. Basically, you know what? Lower your costs improves your profit margin. As simple as that. If you get some real-time inventory visibility through the supply chain, you're not, you don't have to have so many safety levels of inventory if you've got, you know, a better handle on what you need for your customers' requirements with location and availability, where it is in the supply chain. This information, especially if you do VMI, vendor managed inventory, it's really a really tremendous boost because you can get this results very quickly due to the nature of the technology. You'll be able to fulfill your orders, as Mike was talking, in a fraction of the time. The handling may still be the same, but you don't have to play the red dot on the bars. I like that, Mike. And of course, you'll get better usage of your manpower. But the real payback, that where you're going to get the lion's, the big thing right in your face is, and you can only even say by a show of hands, but tell me, you know, and I'm always surprised at the size of some of these chargebacks that the retailers are hitting you guys with, based on concealed shorts, mispacks. Michael, tell a bit, what are the typical kind of chargebacks and how RFID reduces these chargebacks?
Well, it happens in a number of ways, and there's a, and we'll get a little deeper into some of the graphical representations. But when we're getting into assortment packs, where we have packs in a 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, and we're bringing those in for a full carton pick, if you will, and doing assortments going on the outbound side. By validating and using RFID on the inbound, we've now RFID-enabled cartons. And then as we pick those cartons, we know those cartons are already correct, so we can facilitate a rapid outbound pick. And again, as it's headed into the actual trailer itself, validate those cartons again using technology versus using folks trying to look at labels on cartons.
Thank you, Michael. So if you want to get an idea, just speak to the right folks in your company, the operations guy, whoever gets these bills, because you know that they're there. It's always a hassle to wrestling with the retailer to reduce those, to reduce the chargebacks. There are lots of different kind of chargebacks. Wrong hanger, wrong color on the hanger. I mean, this doesn't reduce all chargebacks. We're saying it reduces the chargebacks for mispacks and shorts and wrong items, etc. All right. Here's the numbers. You don't have to take our word for it. You can take it from the GS1 or Auburn University RFID Lab. 80% improvement in shipping and picking, 90% improvement in receiving, and we'll go even further than that because we'll show you some examples where even beyond that. And then there's a 20% improvement in item visibility and availability, and that's, again, that makes it much easier, RFID makes it much easier to find a particular case or a particular carton or a particular item, particular garment on hanger that you're looking for than the old-fashioned way of trying to find it with a barcode scanner. So Edge Magic is a very big part of the supply chain, and with multiple steps of where goods come. They have to be tagged, they have to be received, put away, picked, cycle counted, shipped to the stores, etc., and so forth. So a lot of these steps are also for the retailer, but we're just going to identify how Edge Magic RFID solutions can help the brand owner in the brand owner's part of the supply chain, the brand owner's link of the supply chain. So first, we'll start with the tagging of the items. The serialization management is very important. One of the big chargebacks is if you send a duplicate serial number to your retail partner. That's as they say, I'm going to date myself by saying it's a bozo no-no. And so you need a way to manage that. And Edge Magic with its included Mark Magic print engine manages the serialization. Allows you to set start and stop ranges. You can assign blocks of serial numbers for factories, for example. Let's say you've got 3 factories that are doing a particular SKU. Well, you can assign a block of serial numbers for factory A, another block for B, another block for C. And this is all handled inside the software, and we support chip-based serialization as well. It's really a complete solution for managing that, and then it manages that from the top, meaning that you can have remote locations with remote printing and remote encoding, but at the headquarters still manage your serial numbers. So for example, if you're handling RMAs and returns and you need to re-encode on a return, you're not going to stumble on an existing number that's already been used. Please, any questions, please don't hesitate. And I'm going to pass it back to Mike. Mike, here's the tennis ball over the net. Let's talk about some of the DC tagging options that we have, that we offer.
Yeah, when you're in the DC, typically source tagging and working with service bureaus is the primary method for putting tags on the garments. And in many cases, we have garments that are coming in that may be coming from small seasonal vendors or exception handling. In those areas, we put together a number of methods. One is where we could take wet inlays and add those to a promotional tag and then scan the barcode and encode the proper EPC into that particular tag. There's also print methodology where we can batch print labels and tags for application to garments based upon a purchase order or a work order, or if we're doing exception handling or VAS station, and we've picked garments that are, say, shipping to particular Macy's stores, but I have other retailers that don't do it. So I'm probably in the 30–35% of the merchandise coming in, maybe not justifying source tagging everything. So I may elect to put together a little encoding station and combine it with both bulk printing and some scan and encode to handle long and short orders.
So, for example, here on this this little setup here, where it's also available on this screen over on the left, and that is that this is for slacks. Basically, the customer, the operator, can quickly have a pile of slacks next to him. He passes obviously he puts the wet inlay on the inside of the waistband ticket, and he passes it over the under the scanner. It's hands-free. As soon as the scanner sees it, boom, it scans it, shoots the UPC up to the Edge Magic server. Bingo, comes back with the encode command, and it literally happens as fast as the person can move it. It's an extremely fast operation for the particular use case that Michael just described. Mike, who's in the picture, by the way? Tell me what you're doing here.
Thank you, Shelly. This is an area where we're doing some mobile encoding. We have some orders that have been picked. These are particular garments on hangers, and we're actually scanning and encoding and validating the pick process prior to shipment. So here, in addition to using the service bureaus, using in-plant printing, using scanning and coding, we also have mobile devices that all work together on the EdgeMagic platform to enable encoding on a one-to-one basis as well. And again, this is where you get into the exception handling.
So let's talk about receipts. What happens? Your goods are coming in from overseas, coming in from your factory to a DC. What happens? So, Michael, I'll let you pick up right here.
Yeah, this is where it all begins, and this apparatus, if you will, allows us to validate inbound as well as validate outbound. Now, when we begin to validate inbound, as we can see in the picture, we have a red light that's scanning the LPN number on the carton. Once we scan that license plate number on the carton, we can now do an API call into the existing legacy systems that know the content of that carton. As that carton enters into the Cybra RFID cage, if you will, the carton is flashed with RF, and everything inside that carton is red. Now what we do is we compare the contents of the carton to the ASN, or to the receiving files, and validate that the contents of that carton is what it's supposed to be. Now, if it's correct, the green light goes on and the carton continues on its way. If the carton is not correct, the system is, within the EdgeMagic program, able to activate diverters and divert that carton for special handling, activate a print and apply machine to put an exception label on the carton that maybe print and apply the exception to that carton for manual handling. Now, on the inbound side, now that we've taken this carton and we've read the barcode, because this is a barcode-enabled carton, we now have that information of all of the EPCs in that carton. So automatically, within the EdgeMagic platform, that carton has magically become RFID enabled. So once that carton leaves that cage, it is now RFID enabled. And anywhere I see that carton, if I see that carton being put away to bulk pick, if I see it put in an active pick area, wherever that carton may end up within my facility, I can now track and read that carton using RFID by being able to identify one of the EPCs in that carton. And that'll happen until that carton is actually broken. When that carton is opened and goods are now taken out of that carton, say for a pick pack area, the relationship of the RFID to the LPN is then broken, and then we go back into the using RFID on the item level. And that carton now becomes tracked as what units have come out of it, and we know the count of units that are still in that carton. So this is a very powerful process, being able to read and validate and capture the EPCs during the inbound process, validation process. Thank you, Sheldon.
A couple of two things to keep in mind. Number one, you're all doing inbound audits. You manually inbound. So what do you do? Tell me. 1 out of 10, 3 out of 20, whatever that number is. You're not auditing 100% of the cartons. This solution audits every single inbound carton. All right. So not only do you have a tremendous manpower utilization, but your auditing is far more extensive for shorts, mispacks, etc. Okay, that's number one. Number two, this system performs without slowing down your operations. We have this running at customer at speeds up to 600 feet per minute. Okay, so that's it doesn't get much faster, than that. Maybe in a downstream, but certainly when you're unloading a trailer or a shipping container, and feeding your cartons into your DC, this thing can keep up with any process that you currently have in place. Michael, tell about the vendor scorecard.
Outstanding. Yes, now that we've, this is a classic example of a particular carton that has come in from source, whether it be Asia or Bangladesh or Europe. That carton has come into the validation station. The LPN has been read. All the contents have been read. The count has been summed, and it's been validated. We can see the status of V. So that carton is now validated, and it's been released into production. Now, what we're able to do by reading all of the EPCs, we are also capturing a lot of the performance criteria of the individual RFID tag itself. So we can look at, is it encoded properly? Does it have the proper serial number? Has that serial number been duplicated previously within the receiving process? There's a library and a central repository within EdgeMagic. And at the same time, it's actually capturing the performance of each individual tag that's in that carton. So I can get a scorecard and see, do I have consistent performance? Am I seeing RSSI values at a consistent level from Shenzhou, from Bangladesh, from Lahore, from the Caribbean, if you will? So wherever I'm source tagging, if I'm using multiple service bureaus, I now have a scorecard, a physical document that I can look at, and I can see the performance criteria of each of those individual inlays and how they're performing in real world. And this is so important to catch this, because once I catch tags here in terms of their performance criteria, how they're encoded, what they're encoded with, and the level of performance. Are they a fence jumper? Are they a low flyer? Are they a sleeper? Am I doing frequency fluctuations trying to wake them up? How are they going to perform in the retail environment? If I can catch this here, then I can eliminate those tags causing me a chargeback down the road later in the supply chain. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And we do the same for other sorts of inbound processes. Here we have a garment on hanger implementation, and we're able to read all the garments that are rolling in on the hanger, or again rolling out on the hanger. It's again all integrated up with the EdgeMagic server, which allows it's a very reasonable, cost-effective kind of implementation. Let's talk about so now the goods have been put away, and we're going to pick and pack. So typically, you have a pick station or a value add station if you're going to tag and encode. And here we've got a reader. It's inside the table. It could be a flat antenna that's on the table, and the associated if you have to put a barb or any other ticketing that's required. And oh, 1 second. Actually, it's 2 slides down. So the handheld gives us the ability, just moving over aside for a bit, so you find individual things. If for example, you're doing a pack and you're missing one particular item, you can go back, but you don't know where it is. Using the Geiger counter product finder, it leads you to the item. Plus, the same handheld can be used for cycle counting in a particular space. So continuing along, we're doing an outbound validation, and then let's see if there's a, actually, well, I'm going to go back, Michael, and I want you to talk about the picking. You had talked a little bit about the pack function before at the beginning when we were talking on the agenda item, but go into a little more detail about how some of our customers are, quote unquote, dealing with the items in the plastic bags.
Very good. Yeah, this is a very good application for some of the brand owners that have their mandate is only for one of their customers, and the volume is not that great. or maybe you've got 7 or 8 retail stores in a particular region, and you're looking at using RFID internally. This is a system that allows you very quickly to take typical barcoded product, whatever it might be, whether it be apparel, non-apparel, plastic goods, whatever they might be. And here we're able to scan the barcode, the UPC, and generate a new ticket, put that ticket onto that item with the EPC, with the RFID, able to pack it into the carton, and then validate the pack of that carton, all in the same process. So this gets involved with, if I was doing e-commerce stations or other types of pick-pack stations, and RFID enabling them, typically you can see these are the various components that you would use. You've got your screen, your printer, you've got some pack lists and some other printers going on. Here we can actually add RFID to those existing stations and validate the pick process and generate a valid carton for the outbound shipment.
Thank you, Michael. So now we're back into that the validation on the outbound. Now, so remember we talked about the cage on the inbound? Well, the cage works the same way outbound. Only this time it's got the label, your license plate that you've created out of your system. It's not coming from the vendor. It's coming, you know, you're generating it. So again, the same process works the same way. Edge Magic looks up the license plate number, goes, reads the file. Typically you load, using an API, you'll load into the Edge Magic system the sales order information, so that when this outbound carton arrives, we do a lookup on the GS1128 barcode, what's supposed to be in there, and we again do a validation in very high speed against what's supposed to be in the carton. Now, if there's a mistake, we divert. Where are we diverting? We're diverting into the exception handling area, where obviously the box gets opened, we figure out, you know, what goes on, etc. And Edge Magic is assisting in this process. As for example, it'll tell you, nope, you don't need item 777 for this carton, etc., and so forth. Any special instructions, all of this can be integrated into the Edge Magic process. Any questions? Very good. Michael, you want to tell us what you're doing here?
Yeah, this is also a way of getting started. Now, typically, by putting in, you know, we saw some of the automated infrastructure where we're putting in a cage. Now, the cage is just used basically for supporting fixed readers and fixed antennas in a fixed location. Now, many folks want to get started. Say, geez, I don't want to get involved in cages and infrastructure and all of this cost. What I'd like to do is I'd like to start off, and I have my goods are being tagged. I have 35% of my inventory coming in is mandated to have an RFID tag on it. So I'm looking for a soft, easy way to get started. So we put a lot of functionality into the handheld, and the handheld's a great way, whether you have garments on hangers. We had folks in Miami that were packing somewhere around 200 hats into a box that was coming in from source, and by using the handheld and Edge Magic on the software platform tied into the legacy system, we can begin to get the value of the RFID process in the receiving side and also on the outbound side, being to validate everything going out very quickly with the handheld right before it heads to the trailer. So the handheld provides us a very soft, easy, economical way to get started to very quickly get the ROI and the visibility in those shipments.
Yeah, I want to point out that even though the handheld looks like your typical barcode scanner, which you may be using now, which it is, but the validation can be done even after these cartons are sealed with the handheld. typically you could do it with it when it's before it's while it's still open, but if you see after a while that you're getting you're running at 99.9% or you're not having issues, you can again seal the carton and even do it with after the seal, because obviously the RF reads through the carton as opposed to the barcode that requires a bit of a physical presentation of a barcode. And then there's one last step, and this is electronic proof of delivery. And we've been in this industry a long, long time, and we all know stories where a zealous warehouse operator says, you know what, let's prepare all those orders that we have a big wave, we have a big order. I'm going to go in and pack them and just stack them. And what happens is that because the system generated labels for a wave that kicked off an ASN, and the retailer's waiting for this shipment of, I don't know, 350 cartons, and they're still sitting on the dock door because that's not really where they were closed. That's not when the order really shipped. In this case, by RFID enabling the dock door, it's the one final validation check. We validate and compare, make sure that the cartons are going, that the pallet, you can do it at the pallet level, at the carton level, that this truck is going to the right truck for the right customer, and that's the trigger that'll kick off your electronic proof of delivery. What we're also showing here in the picture is a partner of ours, Jameson RFID. They create these specialized portal structures that are very rugged. They're designed to go for a drop-in install, and very specifically designed. And what's neat about the portals is that this portal technology plus Edge Magic, you can use it for the next 50 years. These things the portals don't wear out, and Edge Magic is constantly evolving, supporting new technology, new readers, new tags. So you could change the antennas and the readers that are inside the portal. Edge Magic will still support it, and you'll still get continue to get the life of these the very rugged enclosures.
Yeah, Sheldon, we should probably touch base on why is electronic proof of delivery, why is EPOD so important? Well, this is actually a very large ROI component. By being able to generate electronic proof of delivery with your trading partners, with your retailers, when you make the shipments to them and send them this file, there's no manual adjustments, there's no manual processing, there's no delay in taking and getting the data. So in essence, the millions of dollars that you have in transit to those locations, those invoices can now become payable because they are validated as electronic proof of delivery. So the getting paid in weeks instead of getting paid in months has a tremendous value to a CFO and to the financials. Thanks, Sheldon.
Very good, Michael. You're absolutely right. Let's talk a little bit about how Edge Magic is packaged and how you might deploy it. On one hand, single server. It's your operations, 1DC. You're running a server in your. It's a web application server, so it runs on Apache Tomcat, IBM WebSphere, and it's a web-based application. We also have a multi-tier type of implementations where there's a server in the headquarters or in the main DC, and then what we call the device manager, which is smaller implementations specifically for doing the heavy lifting of the RFID reading and filtering. It's done downstream, and then the summary data and the important information is sent to the server at the parent level. And then we also have another two more actually ways. One of these is not even here, which is server plus an appliance, where we have a dedicated little Edge Magic box. It's called the Edge Box. It's a fanless, solid state server. We call it it can be a local controller, a store controller, it's kind of like an appliance is really what it is, just like it says. And it's dedicated to do specifically nothing but read the RFID text and communicate the results back up. So you can have server like the appliance at multi-tier, or you can supply a server or a partition and have it available for in either of these implementations. Now, one thing to point out, and I'll go to the next slide, is that EdgeMagic is the only RFID software that's available on the AS400 in addition to Windows, Linux, the servers, etc. Just a logical concept to keep in mind is that an EdgeMagic supports an unlimited number of locations, which means that you can define intermediate locations, you can define physical locations. It's a logical concept in EdgeMagic. And it gives you the visibility by enterprise, Eastern warehouses, European warehouses, etc., and so forth. However you wish to look at it, that is architected into the system to be able to have that logical view. And here's a key point where you can have a server-based and also have a cloud-based. We can run a single-tenant cloud, and we can have a hybrid where you can have a single-tenant cloud talking to a device manager with the EdgeMagic Edge box. In addition, we will run on all these platforms, as listed. The key takeaway here is EdgeMagic is what we call an EPC platform. It's a platform that's enterprise-wide, and it not only communicates with the devices, with edge devices, readers, sirens, light stacks, etc., plus have full printing capability and a total integration with MarkMagic, which some of you are using for your ticketing and encoding as well. So this is a real complete overall solution. One of our newest things is we've added dashboard capability to the base product. And these dashboards are designed, and for example, we have dashboards that are good for retail, specifically for moves between the back room and the sales floor and point of sale, loss prevention, etc. And this particular example, dashboards, so ASMs in the process, cartons picking, waves, manifests, open cases, etc., to give you a feel for, based on the RFID data, of what's going on in your environment. Okay. One thing that has come to our attention, excuse me, is that there's a lot of our customers they have an EPC compliance mandate where they sell to large retailer customers, but they also are doing drop shipping either for their own e-commerce sites, or for the e-commerce sites of their retailer partners. So for example, if your partner is Macy's, your customer is Macy's, so Macy's, yes, would want you to do the pre-packs and a whole of sorts of carton level shipments to their DCs, but in addition, hopefully, you're also drop shipping for Macy's website, drop shipping directly to the consumer. So EdgeMagic is integrated into MarkMagic product. MarkMagic has a product that's called, it's an option called Print Transformer. And what Print Transformer can do is build what's known as a compound document on the fly based on various, based on the data. It kind of interrogates the print stream, and based on what's inside the print stream, formats the form with the different components, the big ticket, the shipping label, the RMA label, the carrier label, some marketing information as well, and then either generates a PDF of that or prints it out for actual folding and sticking in the carton. This has gotten, we're seeing a lot of traction with this capability because of that enhanced fulfillment that RFID provides, combined with the fact that this can be implemented with zero programming, believe it or not, just a matter of rules. And the next version of Edge Magic that will be coming out in the next few months actually takes rules to a whole new level. It's in addition to the same kinds of rules that we can do here, based on data in the print stream. We're also adding the ability to make actions defined by things like temperature and acceleration and a whole other number of IoT and sensor-related inputs that will allow us to process and actually, make decisions based on not only what the EPC value is, but other environmental factors that may apply. We'll give you some use cases when we're doing the announcement. Okay, Michael, please summarize for our attendees what we've just shown them.
Thank you, Sheldon. Yeah, in the beginning we talked a little bit about the fishing and catching the one fish at a time by doing it in batch. And as we saw, by using a platform to be able to control all of the edge devices so that everything works in harmony within the ecosystem of the organization, all of these results, all of this data that we are very efficiently APIing back into all of our internal legacy systems, immediately we're going to be seeing improvements in the inventory accuracy. It's no longer going to be a subjective value. It's going to be a real value using electronic technology. We're going to see the reduction in errors. It's going to be a natural effect of the process. We're going to physically reduce inventory labor costs. As we saw in the pick-pack area, we're taking 30% of the time that it takes to handle, to read, to validate, to pack. That same process when we're dealing with barcodes. By RFID enabling a carton on the inbound side, being able to access, process, pick, and ship that carton, now that it's RFID enabled, is going to have a tremendous reduction in labor costs. And the time it takes to do a physical inventory becomes obvious. We're working with processes now with some of our folks where rather than actually scheduling a inventory process, why not take some of the natural processes that take place within an organization? It could be a maintenance or a custodial process that takes place depending upon the environment. And if I can RFID enable some of those components that are being used in its natural functions, I can actually be doing a physical inventory at the same time. So we have all of these capabilities by, again, using IoT sensors and some other sensors that are all part of the Edge Magic platform to affect these types of results where doing normal everyday processes continue to perform a perpetual inventory. And again, by doing the validation process on the inbound and the validation process on the outbound and doing pick-pack validations, we can basically eliminate concealed shortages, and that automatically reduces chargebacks. And by using the scorecards that the reports generate within the Edge Magic platform, we now have documentation to support the challenge to chargeback reductions.
Thank you, Michael. Now, do we have any questions that are, okay, actually I see Here's a question from Carl. How do I start? Well, Carl, I'll give you. Actually, you have to have a plan. We will help you with the plan, but this is the plan, and it's basically it's got 5 steps. Research and scope. Go look around your organization, see what sorts of processes do you think could be helped, where you have labor bottlenecks, where do you have errors, and you begin to build a scope of what do you want RFID to do for you. Next, survey and document. What does that mean? Literally, you have to run a site survey. You actually have to. This is because I know we always get the question how much it costs, so I'll answer that one right here. You do have to commit to spend a little bit of money to see if, in fact, you want to spend, go with the full implementation. And the reason why I say that, because here's what's known as a site survey. A site survey is where, we come out, we review your facility, we take measurements of radio frequency and interference, and we'll go through the processes and identify where the readers will go, where the flow changes are, and begin to give you a sense as to what some of the infrastructure requirements will be, and that's documented. Then there's one more step before you decide to go, and that is test. Now, we actually have a full lab up in our West Seneca, New York, which is outside of Buffalo, in the snow belt, but it's a full conveyor racetrack, so to speak, where what we ask is that you send sample cartons of your products, either tagged at source or tagged in your DC with the tags that you plan on using, that you've been instructed to use by your retail partners, to send us 4, 5, 10, whatever number that we decide and agree upon is the correct number of cartons, and we will run them around this racetrack at 150 feet per minute, at 350 feet per minute, at 450 feet per minute, at 600 feet per minute, to get you the number of what will be the performance characteristic that we've determined, because we have the equipment already. This way you're not interrupting any of your existing processes. We do the test, and we give you that answer that says, yes, your products can be read at this, speed is good enough for you, etc. And we analyze the results. Obviously, you have to have the performance characteristics that that tells you what you want. So then the next step is the pilot. Pilot and refinement. What is pilot? Pilot is you pick one dock door, or you pick one pack station, or you get a couple of handhelds, and we say, okay, let's start to test this out. And then you're refining based on the pilot results. There's no guarantee that the pilot will be an immediate home run. But one of the things that's important to realize is that it's one thing to do a pilot where you're just counting. That you're just seeing if how RFID is better. We are actually going to be doing that for you in the lab. What more important is that we have a lot of experience because of our 30-year history of MarkMagic, of integrations with such companies as Manhattan Associates, VAI, ABS, Apparel Business Systems, Wind Systems, Oracle, where the sooner you get integrated into your legacy systems, the sooner you get the ROI from the RFID. And so that's one of the things that, maybe it's just you do an export of a file and then we bring in. So we're doing some validations. Validations are really where you start to see. So on that pilot level, the sooner we can get to the validations, the greater off you'll see the results. But based on, then you refine. And then you look at the results of your pilot. And only then do you have to make a decision about rolling out and going into production. So I wouldn't, we wouldn't tell you to go roll out and go jump whole hog into the solution. Each of these steps needs to be followed. But there's really one thing that's required before we talk about feeds and speeds and printers and readers, and that is internally, you have to identify one person who is known as the RFID champion. This RFID champion has to be a combination of LeBron James, Barry Bonds, and literally he's got and some super football player. He's got to be superstar. Why? Because what he's going to do, he's going to shepherd the project through. He has to be able to go to the financial people, get the explain the numbers and get some direction. He's got to be able to work with operations, with facilities. Each of the departments have to be brought in, so they have to buy in. But in addition, the RFID champion is the internal person that takes ownership for the project, working with the vendor, and can bring the resources as needed to assure the project's success. So maybe you be the RFID champion, maybe someone else you know or can identify within your organization to be the champion, but you do need a champion. Next question. Okay, someone asks here about retrofitting an existing package station. What's involved? Michael, want to take that?
Excellent, thank you, Sheldon. Yes, what we like to do, again, to make an RFID implementation low impact, we like to use the existing structure that's in place, the existing hardware. Operators and folks are familiar with a certain process, if you will, and we want to disrupt that as little as possible. So as we saw in some of the previous pictures, in putting together a pack station that has your typical screen that interfaces to the host, and a printer, and a barcode scanner, and the various tools that are used in that process, all we really do is we add another tool. We're able to drop in a PoE Cat6 cable, if you will, that'll allow us to attach an antenna to the network. And then within the Edge Magic system, we know which pack station it is. We know what all the activity going on in that station on the legacy system. So what we do is we just add another component, another piece of hardware, which could be invisible to the person, under a table, behind a partition, and as they pick up merchandise that they need to pack, automatically, as they pass it through a particular localized read zone, their screen is going to populate automatically with what they're doing, what the activity is. So when the order is up on the screen and they're picking items against that order, automatically they're seeing items counting down as they're picking up, passing over the reader, and putting stuff in the carton. No longer stopping to try to find the hang tag or find the sticker or rotate the item until they find the barcode, and then take the handheld or the omnidirectional scanner and somehow read the barcode and look, oh, we had a change on the screen, let's go to the next one. We can literally just take an armful of merchandise, pass it over the read zone, read 10, 12 items that are in the collection, put them right into the box, and know right on the screen that we have all the correct items, and wait for that screen to turn green, if you will, that carton can be released, the order can be closed, and the next order can be processed. And that's where the reduction in time comes in. Not only do we get the accuracy in the process, but we're taking about 30% of the time that's used to touch each one individually and doing it in batch and realizing that time. Typically, say if it's 3 minutes to pack a box, depending upon if we're putting 10, 12, 6 items in the box, we're doing about 20 boxes an hour. If we're able to take a minute out of that process by batch reading everything that's going into the pick process, we reduce the carton time to 2 minutes. That gives us 30 boxes an hour from 20 boxes an hour. Now, if I had 30 pack stations and I'm working some e-commerce and I've got store replenishments and I've got other things going on and I've got 30 pack stations in operation, The impact on that is going to be a uptick of an additional 2,400 cartons per day using the RFID process versus the barcode process. Now, that additional 2,400 may mean that in a seasonal environment, maybe I can use 25 or 26 pack stations. I don't need to use 30. So I get a little cost savings there, and I can take those resources and deploy those resources into other areas in my supply chain without bringing additional people on, or temporary help, or third-party counting folks. So you can see immediately how just by improving the process, I'm taking cost out of my business, and the system is actually paying for itself, and the garments are already coming in RFID tagged from source because I was mandated to do so. So here I'm taking a mandate, and now I'm getting value from it. Thanks, Sheldon. Sheldon?
Hey guys, we have a few more questions about early implementation and integration. If you guys want to go over that. Yeah, here's one. Could you please talk a little bit about implementation? How long does your average implementation take? What are some of the challenges that a typical customer can expect? And how did you overcome them?
I'll field that one, Phil. Thank you. With the EdgeMagic platform, just because of the way it's engineered, we're not doing a lot of customization. So if we took some of the more recent implementations, typically most folks can experience 4, 5, 6 months of level of effort, statements of work, some coding being done, some alpha testing, some beta testing, and then come back and doing some corrections, and then maybe redefining some things. So many folks today implementing an RFID system using the standard process, just taking somewhere we're in 4, 5, 6 months to implement a system. With EdgeMagic, the way it's engineered, it's basically server-based device control. So what we do is we take a copy of this pre-engineered software and we put it on the server. And again, we touch base. The server can be an iSeries AS400, Linux, Unix, AIX, a Windows platform. It could be a Mac. But we put this software on the server. And with APIs, being able to pull data from the existing legacy systems, like the Manhattan WMSs, like the Oracles, the Infors, the Warehouse Bosses, and the CGS Blue Cherry, we're able to pull that information from the system and have visibility to that data, and then very quickly, using a few mouse clicks. Matter of fact, EdgeMagic is so flexible, it's actually user scalable. So in essence, we can deploy a phase 1 RFID test implementation using some Wi-Fi and maybe a fixed read zone, and then the end user, the brand owner, the IT resources internally can literally, with a few mouse clicks, add additional rezones, add additional pack stations, add additional dock doors, and they can now start to scale the system out without having to go back to a software vendor to write more code, to spend more money, and buy more support. It's all built into the software. Now that EdgeMagic is on the server, we can now use RFID for other things. If I have an IT department and I want to keep track of my racks, blades, and servers, all of my hardware infrastructure, I can now do asset tracking. If I want to track samples, if I have development samples coming from merchandise and design, I can now add RFID tags to my samples and my development samples and track those through the process as well. So you can see how easy this is to start off very small, very soft, and very comfortably with a server-based device solution, and then able to scale that out to a full enterprise. Next question, Phil. I think we've got about 2 minutes left.
Right. Okay. We have another one about integration. What are the next steps with integrating into existing inventory management purchasing systems?
An existing inventory management purchasing system. That gets back into inventory visibility. And then how accurate and how often can I get that information into my system? Within the Edge Magic, you can establish min-max levels where I could have certain inventories in my inventory that I'm monitoring will hit certain levels, whether it be a min or a max. And at a min point, it'll raise a red flag very quickly to either autonomously activate a purchasing system to replenish those items, or put a note out, an email, an alert, a notice, a report that these are the items that have now hit the min levels within the supply chain, and they either need to go back to the factory to have more made. I need to look at my supply chain. Do I have off-site storage? Do I have merchandise in my retail partners where maybe I have a lot of inventory in one of their back rooms? Can I do a store-to-store transfer? And it starts getting more into these omni-channel type of channel initiatives, and it all comes down to inventory visibility, which is what I think this question pertained to.
Yeah,
I hope I answered it.
The question was whether was the actual implementation steps, and basically the Edge Magic, it comes with a complete library of REST APIs, RESTful APIs. Remember, it's a web application, and so you can request. I mean, program-to-program requests can be made for what's the contents of what's the inventory of this reader, what's going on at this read zone, are there open alerts, et cetera, and so forth. There's quite a few of them, and the integration is actually made that way. The other way we do it is that there are, as part of the original implementation, the customer will ask us for a particular format for data to be thrown into a file, whereas outside of the actual Edge Magic system. And what we'll do is we'll be reading, et cetera, and so forth, and writing this information to this particular file that the customer system is prepared to accept. And that way, by having it using either the cyber-supplied APIs or the third, like a neutral location where this repository is updated. This way, customer, both Edge Magic can be updated and the customer's legacy systems can change without without any changes on either the Edge Magic side or the customer side breaking, so to speak. That's the terminology. Breaking any links or conduits that are there. So it's a pretty it's kind of like a sandboxed approach where you using a RESTful API, you can do a put and a get, et cetera, and so forth, and retrieve the information from Edge Magic as needed. I think we're looks like we're overboard. Quite a few minutes. If there's any other questions, please you can write to us. So, just 1 second. And please come and see us. We'll be at the following conferences and expos. We'll be at RFID Journal Live in May in Orlando, and the Manhattan Associates Momentum Conference. Also, later on that month, we'll be in the GS1 Connect, Washington, D.C., at the end of May and beginning of June, and we'll be at the RVCF Fall Conference in Scottsdale in November. But please write to us, sales@cyber.com, to discuss any of this further, and give us a holler. The number is 800-CYBER-88 or 914-963-6600. And really, thank you for taking the time, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Phil.
Enjoy the day.